What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing, man? Check it out without a doubt. Let's see what this bad boy is all about. Hey, this is our stream channel a minute ago. Yeah, right. It's been 3 days ago at the bottom. You know, YouTube stay up on stuff, man. Rapper T.I. family reveals heartbreaking update. Oh my gracious. Hey, y'all know T.I.'s son, what's his name again? I don't even know the boy name. Is in he in jail. How can you, dude? Come on now. This don't make no sense. Well, you got what you wanted. You want to be a thug and you want to be a gangster and that. Yeah, your mama knowing all this. This right here will get your butt in some serious trouble, man, for no reason. I don't understand. I'm allergic to jail. I don't understand why people want to go there. You share a cell with somebody else in an orange jumpsuit or whatever color your state you runs with. You both got to use that same little toilet. The toilet don't have no seat on it. I'm out of there already. Why would you want to go there? I would want to stay far away from them. You know what? Y'all get my point. Look here, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check out and see what's happening with my man. Let's check it out.
The Harris family. The world of hip-hop that once danced on stages and glowed under bright lights had suddenly fallen into silence.
That's like
it
a
all
spit in the
began
face.
like any other day. But destiny took an unexpected turn. King Harris, the son of the famous rapper T.I.
That's why I can't remember his name. He ain't no king. I can't remember his name because a king wouldn't do what he's doing to embarrass his father like that. That's what happened. T.I. said it. I'm using the words they saying. T.I. worked hard. That's a slap in the face. I worked hard as I can to become a millionaire so my family and everybody around me don't have to suffer. And my son is in jail. That's a slap in the face, man.
Was fighting for his life inside an ICU. His face was pale, his body covered with tubes, and his parents stood outside the glass, completely broken. Fans who had grown up watching this young man live the high life of fame could not believe he was now lying still, almost lifeless. But here is the shocking part. This wasn't just an accident or a random fight. Something darker had happened inside those prison walls. People said King was trying to stay calm that evening, walking away from noise inside the block. He had asked to be left alone for a while, just to think, maybe to plan his next step in life. But within minutes, shouts echoed through the corridors. Guards ran, alarms screamed, and when the noise stopped, King was found on the ground, not moving. Doctors rushed him to the hospital, but it was clear this was no normal scuffle. The injuries were brutal, too focused, too deliberate. You won't believe it. The security cameras that always recorded everything had suddenly gone dark. Every second of that attack disappeared, as if someone had planned for it to vanish. T.I. and Tiny reached the hospital the same night. They were crying, shaking, calling out their son's name, but there was no answer. Nurses whispered that the situation was critical. Machines kept beeping, showing faint signs of life. Outside, people began to gather. Fans, friends, and strangers, holding candles and praying. Social media went wild with hashtags demanding justice. But behind all the prayers, fear started to grow. What if this was a setup? What if someone wanted King gone for a reason? Let me tell you, it wasn't long before whispers spread that the whole thing was planned. Sources from inside the prison began to talk quietly. They said King had made some people angry. Not just inmates, but the kind of people you don't want to cross. There were rumors that he had found out about secret deals happening inside, about money and contraband being moved by the same officers meant to guard him. If that was true, he had become a threat. And in prison, threats don't stay alive for long. But here's the shocking part. When the family demanded to see the footage, the warden said the cameras malfunctioned. Not one clip survived. Doesn't that sound strange? T.I. was breaking down in front of everyone. The man known for strength and pride looked lost. Reporters captured him outside the ICU, saying, "I don't care about justice. I just want my boy to live." It was a father's cry, pure and desperate. But that line started a storm online. People began to ask, why was he saying that? Did he already know this wasn't a random fight? Did he know who did it? The craziest part came when a nurse's voice recording leaked, where she whispered, "This wasn't random. Someone wanted him gone." That one line changed everything. From that moment, the story wasn't just about an injured young man. It became a story about betrayal, silence, and fear. Everyone started connecting dots that maybe weren't even visible yet. The world held its breath as the doctors said the next 24 hours were critical. Each beep of the monitor sounded like a countdown to the truth. Tiny cried until she could barely breathe, holding on to T.I., who just kept staring through the hospital glass, whispering, "Hang on, son, Daddy's here." But here is where it gets interesting. While the family was praying for a miracle, new voices inside the prison were preparing to reveal what really happened that night. You won't believe what happened next. While the world was still trying to make sense of the shocking attack, new voices started to emerge, and with them came new fears. Let me tell you, the story began to twist in ways nobody expected. Inside the hospital, tension grew heavier with every passing hour. King's condition was unstable, his heartbeat rising and dropping like a storm on a monitor. Doctors whispered that the swelling in his brain was getting worse. Tiny couldn't stop crying, and T.I. stood there, staring at the floor like a man who had already seen too much pain in his life. The whole hospital smelled of panic and prayers. Everyone around them waited, hoping for even a small sign that King would open his eyes, but destiny took another unexpected turn that night. By morning, the whispers about a conspiracy had turned into loud accusations. People claimed this was no ordinary prison fight. It was a carefully planned hit. The craziest part was what came next. A prison staff member, whose voice was later leaked online, claimed that the guards were told to stay back minutes before the fight began.
Wow.
That single claim shook the internet.
That's crazy.
Was someone inside the system working with people on the outside? Who gave the order? Nobody knew for sure, but everyone agreed something smelled wrong. Fans started calling it the biggest betrayal behind bars. And as they demanded answers, the silence from the authorities became deafening. Meanwhile, T.I. tried to hold himself together, but it was impossible. Reporters followed him everywhere, and every tear became a headline. At one point, he broke down and said, "If my son doesn't make it, the world's gonna burn." People didn't know whether to take that as grief or a warning. Some believed he knew exactly who was behind the attack, but here is the shocking part. A few old enemies from T.I.'s past started posting strange messages online. One rapper wrote, "When you play with fire, it reaches your family." That line alone turned the internet upside down. Fans flooded the comments, connecting old rivalries and guessing who could have ordered the hit. But what made this story different was how quickly the world turned into a battlefield of emotions. Atlanta's streets were filled with candles and cries. People marched, holding posters of King, shouting, "Justice for King!" They didn't want silence anymore. They wanted names, answers, and truth. Let me tell you, this wasn't just about one boy in a hospital bed. It had become a fight between the public and the system. Videos of Tiny collapsing in the hospital hallway spread everywhere. Her screams, "They wanted to kill my baby," echoed online, leaving everyone speechless. While the world demanded justice, doctors gave the family heartbreaking news. King had suffered deep trauma to his skull, possibly from a weapon made out of a padlock tied inside a sock. It wasn't just a fight. It was an execution-style beating.
Damn.
The wounds proved it was done with intent, not anger. The craziest part? Guards were right there but did nothing until it was too late. The Harris family felt betrayed. They had believed that even behind bars, justice had rules. But now, it felt like those rules didn't exist. And just as the family started demanding an official statement, another twist arrived that changed everything. You won't believe how quickly everything spiraled after that. The next few days turned Atlanta into a city that felt more like a movie set than real life. Crowds grew larger outside the hospital, reporters camped on every corner, and social media turned into a battlefield of theories. Some called it corruption, some said it was karma, and others believed this was a revenge plot written years ago. But here's the shocking part. Right when people thought things couldn't get worse, an anonymous recording appeared online. The voice was shaky, like someone speaking in fear, and it said, "We were told to make it look like a fight, but the target was King." Those words spread like fire. Nobody knew if the clip was real, but it was enough to tear open every wound the family was trying to close. Let me tell you, the world stopped trusting silence after that leak. Journalists started digging through T.I.'s old history, resurfacing names from the past, people he'd had feuds with, rivals he'd crossed, deals that went wrong. Some said this attack was a warning, a message meant to remind T.I. that even fame has limits. Others claimed it had nothing to do with music at all, that King had found something inside the prison, maybe a secret, maybe corruption, that he wasn't supposed to see. The craziest part was how many insiders agreed that the attack felt too clean, too quiet, too timed to be random. Destiny had taken an unexpected turn, and now the Harris family was trapped in a storm they couldn't escape. Inside the hospital, things were no better. King's condition kept changing. One moment, he was stable. The next, his heart rate dropped dangerously low. Nurses moved in and out quietly, their faces pale from exhaustion. T.I. hadn't left his son's side in days. His beard had grown, his eyes were red, and he looked nothing like the confident man the world once knew. Tiny would spend hours praying in silence, holding King's hand, whispering, "You're strong, baby. You'll come back." But here's where it gets interesting. Some say that night, King's monitor went flat for a few seconds. He had stopped breathing. Doctors rushed in, shouting orders, fighting for his life. For a moment, everyone thought it was over. And then, miraculously, the beeping returned. He was alive, but barely. Outside, the crowd heard the news and broke down in tears. People were hugging strangers, crying, shouting his name. It felt like the entire city was praying together. But what made this story different was how the line between truth and rumor began to disappear. Every hour brought a new theory. One said a guard was paid off. Another said a rival rapper's crew had planned it. Some even believed it was part of a larger power play inside the industry itself, a way to send a warning to others. Nobody knew what to believe anymore, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just about a boy in critical condition. It was about a system cracking open in front of millions. Let me tell you, T.I. reached his breaking point that evening. Cameras caught him walking out of the hospital, shaking with anger, yelling at reporters, "If y'all don't protect my family, I'll burn this whole system down." That clip went viral within minutes. Some fans saw it as a father's pain. Others said it sounded like a man who already knew too much. The internet started asking questions no one could answer. Why did the cameras fail? Why were the guards silent? And why was every witness too scared to speak? Each question pushed the truth further away, and each silence made the story darker. As the night dragged on, the Harris family sat together in the waiting room, silent, broken, and afraid. Tiny prayed under her breath. T.I. stared blankly at the floor, and through the hospital window, the flashing red lights from outside blended with the flicker of thousands of candles burning in King's name. Everyone was waiting for news, for justice, or maybe for a miracle. But deep down, everyone knew something was coming, something big, something that would change everything they thought they knew about this tragedy. You won't believe what happened as the final night approached. The hospital had turned into a fortress. Guards at every door, fans chanting outside, cameras flashing nonstop. But inside, it was quiet, too quiet. The air was heavy, the lights dim, and the doctors looked worried. Let me tell you, the family had run out of tears. Days had passed without sleep, without peace, and now they were waiting for the words no parent should ever hear. The doctors had warned that if King didn't show signs of improvement soon, they might have to consider removing life support. That sentence hit T.I. like a knife. He shouted that no one...
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Bullshit.
Come on. I'm over here researching to see, and they saying that they don't have they don't even have no records of him being in jail. And y'all got this whole, come on, man. Are you serious? All right, let's get to the end of this bull.
No one was going to decide his son's fate but God. His voice echoed through the halls. You don't get to choose when my son's story ends. Outside, the city stood still. Crowds had doubled overnight, turning into a sea of faces lit by candles. People held posters that read, "Justice for King" and "The system failed him." Even strangers who didn't know the family cried as they prayed. But here's the shocking part. While everyone prayed for life inside, someone dropped another bomb online. A cryptic Instagram account appeared and posted, "The sins of the father fall on the son." This was never about King, it was about T.I. Within minutes, the post vanished, but screenshots spread everywhere. Fans started to believe that this attack was not about the young man lying in the hospital. It was about his father's past. Destiny had truly taken an unexpected turn, and it felt like the universe was rewriting the price of fame in real time. Let me tell you, that night the hospital became a stage for heartbreak. Tiny fainted in the corridor after hearing King's brain activity was weakening. T.I. fell to his knees beside her, holding her hand, whispering prayers. Nurses cried too, seeing the pain that fame and fortune couldn't fix. One of them said softly, "They're just parents, just like anyone else." The craziest part came moments later when a faint movement appeared on the monitor. A twitch, a breath, a small flicker of life. The room froze. The doctor shouted for silence. King's heartbeat grew stronger for a few seconds before fading again, but that little flicker was enough to give everyone hope that he was still fighting. Outside, the news spread instantly. King Harris shows signs of life. Fans screamed, some cried, and others dropped to their knees in prayer. It was as if the whole city exhaled after holding its breath for days. But even with that small miracle, the truth behind the attack was still buried under lies and silence. The prison remained quiet. No investigation reports, no footage, no names. The Harris family's lawyer called it the biggest cover-up in state history. And as the night grew colder, T.I. posted a message online. "They tried to break me through my blood, but we don't fall that easy." That single line became the voice of millions who had followed every painful second of this tragedy. But here's where it gets interesting. Even after everything, the story didn't end. Rumors continued to swirl that the people responsible were powerful enough to silence anyone who spoke. Some said the truth was hidden inside files that might never see daylight. Others believed T.I. knew exactly who was behind it, but was waiting for the right time to speak. What made this story different was that it was no longer about music or fame. It was about survival, justice, and a father's fight to protect what's left of his family. As the sun rose over Atlanta, the hospital stood bathed in orange light, the crowd still outside, still praying, still hoping. Inside that ICU, the beeping of the monitor echoed like the heartbeat of the entire city, fragile but alive. Whether King would ever wake up or not, no one could say. But one thing was certain, this story had changed everything. It exposed how power could twist justice, how silence could hide truth, and how pain could unite millions of strangers into one voice. You won't believe it, but even in the darkest moments, hope refused to die. And that's where this story ends. Not with answers, but with a promise that one day the truth will rise, just like King fought to do.
She said this is when the story ends. I am over here Googling. I use ChatGPT because I think that joint is a little stronger than Google. And they almost saying that it's the man. I really think that King is still in jail. I mean, what do y'all think? Y'all let me know in the comment. Is he still in jail at least? And they saying that he got into a fight in jail. I heard that. And are these just rumors? Because we're getting leaks, right? From the people paying for these leaks, man, from the gods and stuff, right? But my question is, now him being on life support and in the hospital and all that, I can clearly tell that that's a stretch. That's bull. Because more people would be talking about it. You just want yourself a story, you lying mother hunchy. You just want yourself a, man, get out of here. You just want yourself a story. So I'm going to call it cap.
Bullshit or bullshit?
That's what I'm going to call it. Yeah, I'm going to call it straight up crap. I think that everybody's looking for clickbait and the subscribers and views and all that stuff. So y'all let me know. Shout out to all my enders, the people that made it to the end that's listening to my voice right now. Let me know that you're an ender. And I'm going to get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.